Happy 2025. This is the first video of the new year, which is crazy. I know that people did this video 2 months ago, but for me, you know, February is kind of like my January. At least that's what I'm telling myself. But I basically just wanted to kind of like just close the book on 2024, and part of that is kind of like going through and reflecting on my favorites, so like favorite life events, products, experiences. So without further ado, here are my 2024 favorites and things that I'm excited to kind of like bring back into or bring into the new year. And I will preface this by saying not all of these things are new. I think most of them are actually not new, but these are just things that I remember really enjoying in 2024. And I think we should do that more often. Like, your favorites don't have to be things that you tried for the first time. Where do we start? Let's start with wellness. I think this is a huge trend. Every January, I feel like everyone wants to get healthier. And I will say one of my favorite things this year or last year and the last few years has been my Oura ring. I'm wearing it right now. And I bought it a few years ago when I was not really sleeping well, just like a lot of like work stress. And I bought it just so I could track my sleep and understand kind of like how I was recovering when I was working out and things like that. And I think it's been great for that. I love looking at my readiness score, and I think it doesn't tell you anything new, but sometimes it's helpful to know like, oh, I feel like my body is less stressed today than it was yesterday, so maybe I can go a little harder on my workout, or maybe my readiness score is really low because I didn't get a ton of sleep last night, or I also went out drinking, so maybe I should take it light today, and and it'll give you reminders, like maybe do something you enjoy, and I think that just kind of helps having that extra reminder. I will say some people use this for exercise tracking, and you can use it. I don't think it's that great for exercise tracking. I use my Garmin watch for that. So I think I've talked about Maria before, but during the pandemic, I started doing online workouts because, you know, gyms were closed. It just didn't feel as safe to go to gyms, and you didn't know how often they were cleaning the items. So I just kind of like stayed away from the gym for a bit. I discovered Maria, and she did these live Zoom workouts, and I would do them like 3 times a week. And she also created these programs so that you could kind of like customize the workouts you needed. And last year she released this one called Rica in 30. And these are just basically strength workouts that are 30 minutes long. I think she has 9 of them. So 3 lower body, 3 full, and 3 upper body. And I love it because it helps me stay consistent. So there are days when I know I don't have time to do like an hour and a half workout, but I need some sort of structure. And this is the perfect way so that I can just get 30 minutes in, and I still would have like moved my body, gotten my workout in on a day when I probably wouldn't have worked out. And so it just helps me stay consistent because I'm not going that long without working out because I have like 30 minutes here. Loop earplugs. Oh my gosh, everyone has heard me talk about loop earplugs. I don't know how I discovered them. Maybe it was an ad. I really don't know, but they were founded by these 2 Europeans. I think they're from the Netherlands. They're Dutch. Don't quote me on that. And they basically founded this company because they were really into like the rave scene in Europe. And after a while, I think they were like, we're too young to have ringing in our ears, but because they were going to all of these like concerts and raves, like their ears took a beating, and they didn't want to wear those like ugly neon bright construction earplugs when they were going out and trying to, you know, look cool, look nice. So they created these earplugs, and actually I wrote here that I have the quiet 2s and engages. I actually have 3 of them. They basically have engineered it so that they're blocking out noise on certain decibel levels depending on what outcome you want. So I have the quiets, so that's when you want to block out almost everything. It's not going to be completely silent, and that's like when I need like a deep focus. I have the engaged ones, and so those are for when you really want to kind of like reduce the volume of the world. I think that's how they really put it. And it's like taking your remote and like lowering the volume by 2. So you're not as stimulated. I think a lot of people who have ADHD really enjoy this. And so if like I use these at an airport where there's a lot going on and I just like want to, you know, calm it down a little bit. But you can also use these at work where maybe you don't want to use the quiets because you need to still kind of stay engaged. Get it? Because in case like your coworker needs to ask you a question, you can't. Maybe there are moments when you don't want to have like most of that background noise blocked out, so use that. I also have them the experience. I bought those for the Renaissance concert. Let's talk about life. 2024 was an interesting year. First of all, your girl graduated from business school. I got my MBA from Wharton. I've already talked about that. There's a vlog up in case you guys haven't seen that yet. It was just really nice to kind of, you know, get another degree. That's the Nigerian in me, and have my mom and my sister here to celebrate it with me. I feel like 2024, I really was able to spend a lot more quality time with my loved ones and like my friends. Like, by the nature of just being at business school, your friends are, you know, or some of your friends, not all of your friends, are within like a few blocks from you at any given time. So it was really nice to be able to connect with them that way. I also had kind of like the flexibility to spend a lot more time kind of with my family and spend a lot of time at home, just because of like my schedule being so flexible and having a lot more kind of like breaks. So it was really nice, and it's something that I don't take for granted. I understand that it gets harder to have that much time to do that as we kind of like, you know, get older and have more responsibility. So I'm trying to kind of like stay present for that and like appreciate those moments when they do come across. I also launched 2 businesses, or 2 products, I guess. I've talked about both of them here, but I launched the Data Influencer, which was an online course, or is an online course that I developed to kind of help professionals be better data storytellers, which I think is like so important in the age of AI and big data. But then I also launched the Beauty Stack, which was an idea that I had at the very beginning of business school, and I remember talking about it with like my classmates, and taking a class that really allowed me to focus on it and work out the kinks. And I think there were just like brain blockers, if that makes sense. Like after a while you're like, oh my gosh, like the next step it's going to take a lot of time and effort, and you need to hire developers. And for some reason over the holidays, something just clicked in my mind, and I thought to myself, okay, what is the like most basic form of this product in your head that you can put out and then like iterate and like make better over time. And so I was just really glad that I was able to kind of like get over the hurdle or hump for both of those ideas and companies. And well, Data Influencer is actually a company. The Beauty Stack is not yet, but it will be. Interestingly enough, I think my fashion favorites also kind of tie into life favorites. So over the summer, I took a little Euro trip and visited a couple of friends in London, and then went to Italy for Sophia's wedding. And so my 3 fashion faves are all from my Euro trip, even though I got a lot of views out before and after that trip. But I think they just like hold core memories. So the first one is this realisation par. Oh, I know this is French. Realisation pas. Okay. And it's their Penelope dress. It's a silk dress, and it's so light, it's so airy. It's like what you think of like on those like hot summer nights, like sexy summer nights, walking around, eating a gelato, having some wine with your summer fling. Yikes. I think it's perfect for summer, but I also wore this quite a bit over the fall with like boots and like a jacket, and it has this bias cut, and I think that's something that I gravitate towards because of the way that a bias cut basically kind of like naturally hugs your curves, but doesn't necessarily have to be tight unless you like order a size that's tight. I wore this 3 times on my Euro trip, and that almost never happens because I usually try and bring enough things where I can like wear something different every day, but I kept going back to this dress. On the flip side, this one is a little bit more, this one doesn't give off like summer sexy vibes, but it gives off like sweet, frolicking, like innocent vibes. I feel like I don't know, I felt that way when I wore this dress, but it's a perfect summer dress just for a different vibe. This one was from J. Crew. You feel like a princess, you look like a princess. I actually have this in yellow, but I also got it in black, and I just think it's really well made, and it's 100% cotton, which one day I woke up and realized it was rare to get 100% cotton dresses at an affordable price like a J. Crew. Oh, and then this is my Mamma Mia dress, which is from Helsi. It's a I'm not sure if it's a newer brand, but it's a contemporary brand. I would say it's kind of a maxi, not mid maxi dress. It's a black sequin dress. And I wore this to Sophia's wedding. And the reason why I said it's my Mamma Mia dress is I put this on, I walked to the church wearing this dress, and definitely got a lot of like head turns in Italy. I think this is kind of like a very like Italian silhouette. I liken it to like a Dolce & Gabbana aesthetic, where like Dolce & Gabbana like celebrates the female body and the form, especially if you have curves. And this dress hugs your curves. It's really well made. I think it's perfect for any formal event, black tie. You can dress it down, I'm sure. I don't know why you would want to, but you can really dress it up to a black tie. And yeah, like I said, it's a Mamma Mia dress. I remember being at the wedding and literally hearing, as I approached one of the bars, the bartender was like, Mamma Mia. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys like actually say that here. So that stuck with me. So that's why it's my Mamma Mia dress. And then let's talk about tech. I only have a few things here, but I will say one of the things that you guys know, I love cameras, camcorders. I feel like it's one of the things that I collect. Some people collect bags and purses and shoes. I collect cameras, especially like older ones, and camcorders. And I feel like there have been the kind of like vlogging camera has gone through waves. And one of the things I've noticed is there are some cameras that like are bigger and you have like interchangeable lens. I've gone through that phase as well. But for a long time, that was basically the reason why people use that was because we all thought like if you wanted high quality vlogs, you needed to get those like kind of bigger mirrorless cameras that weren't like huge, but you're not going to throw them in your crossbody, you know? And I think there was a kind of a shift in vlogging and just like video camera quality, in the sense that all of a sudden, like I found myself watching vloggers who were vlogging on their iPhone, which the quality isn't the best, but it was really good and good enough to tell your story and to kind of bring people along and create a community. And I think I started realizing that I didn't need that big flashy like camera, because I wasn't really, I used it for sit down videos, but I was never taking it out when I was going out and about, like when I was traveling, because it just took up too much space. It made I felt like a target. I say all that to say this year, or last year, 2024, I really kind of like fell in love with DJI, which is a Chinese camera company. A lot of people know them or knew them first from their drones. I think it started off as a drone company. So the DJI Action 4, I got this and immediately sold my GoPro. I realized I was never using my GoPro unless I was doing something like super active, which like, come on guys, it wasn't that great of like a vlogging camera, so I got rid of that. Once I realized that the Action 4 is perfect in terms of like their widescreen and for vlogs, because it's so small, compact, and it takes really good quality video. Not the best, of course, but good enough. It made vlogging so much easier. Like a lot of the clips that you saw in my vlogs in Europe, as well as and leading up to Europe, and some of the clips from like my MBA vlogs came from this camera. And on the other side, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Some people have either or, some people have both. The reason why I have both is the Pocket 3 has a gimbal. So, all caps. And that's what you guys have probably seen, like camera crews or videographers hold to this big contraption that has like a camera and then like seems like a harness. As they're taking footage, it's constantly like adjusting the camera so your footage isn't shaky as a viewer. And so this one has that in the tiny camera. This is how small it is. But I'm gonna be honest, I think because of the gimbal, it's a little, and then the flip out screen, it's a little bit more fragile than the Action 4 camera. So it doesn't go everywhere with me. I wrote this here, but the DJI ecosystem is taking it for creators. I kind of think of it as like Apple, where Apple created a whole ecosystem where it just made sense to keep buying within the ecosystem. You have your MacBook and then you buy an iPhone. All of a sudden you can connect the two. You can text from your MacBook and then see those texts on your iPhone, vice versa. You can connect, you can AirDrop, and then it makes sense like, oh, if you're in the market for a tablet, maybe I should just get an iPad. We have the whole ecosystem, so let's keep it there. And I almost feel like that's what's happening here, because I now have these cameras, I have my microphone that easily connects. They're all DJI. They're taking it. The last thing for tech is the worklouder Creator Micro. All of my tech products are right here. Here it is. It's a mini keyboard and you can customize it. You use it to basically program all the shortcuts that you might use in your software or on your computer in general. I use it with Final Cut Pro, and I use it to edit all of my kind of like long form videos. This has honestly cut down my editing time by so much, because instead of having to like click around and like press like 3 keys and all that, my hands basically never leave this keyboard when I'm editing. It's only right that we end with beauty. I'm going to start with skincare. Amorepacific. We had a business school trip a couple years ago in Korea. It was for a class trip. And part of that trip, we visited Amorepacific headquarters, and they are kind of like the leading Korean skincare beauty conglomerate. After we met some of the execs and like heard some of the or saw some of the presentations and were able to ask questions, do Q&A, someone from the Amorepacific office basically walked us off, just like shepherded us to their company store. So, you know, so they have like a specific, like an actual in-house store for their employees. So like everything there was like, I think like 30 or 40% off. And I just, on a whim, I was just like, you know what, like I'm in the market for a new cleansing oil. So I got this cleansing oil from the Amorepacific there. And when I tell you, this is the best cleansing oil I've ever tried. And I've tried quite a few, but it's so light, it gets everything. My biggest issue is when these cleansing oils don't get like your eyeliner, your mascara. I think that's the hardest part to get. And this one gets it all. And I'm honestly obsessed. I just ran out, so believe that this is gonna be repurchased soon. Kind of still skincare-ish. This is the Lalay, I don't know the origins of that word, but this is the blotting compact, and it's essentially an oil blotter. It's not like a new invention, but the reason why I like this is it has this like large mirror. Because it's big, I'm not taking it in like a tiny clutch, but I have it in like my everyday tote bag and everyday bags. Your hands are never touching the blotting paper. It's always this like sticky component, and once you're done, you can get rid of it. Okay, let's talk about complexion. This is the Fara Homidi Essential Phase Compact, and this became kind of a holy grail item for me. I discovered her brand a couple years ago, I think that's when they launched. The reason why this made it to my favorites is it honestly has changed my entire relationship with like foundation and everyday makeup. So for the longest time, if I was going to class or going to work, I would put on a very light foundation. But there are days when you don't want to put on foundation, but you also want to look a little bit more elevated and maybe hide some blemishes. And I never had a routine for that. And so this one is great for kind of that spot conceal. If like I have like some acne scars, I just like want to cover up a little bit, but I don't want to wear a full face of makeup. I just want that natural look. So, and then on the top you have this kind of highlighter balm product, but yeah, I think ever since I started using this, I've been wearing foundation a lot less. I just do a lot of spot concealing. And then on the other end, I have been wearing a lot less foundation this year or last year. And that's partly because I discovered the Fara Homidi, but it's also because I discovered the skin tints that work for me. I've never been a huge foundation person. I always I'm skincare first. So as people spend more time and money on skincare, brands can now spend more time developing products that aren't as full coverage, which I'm such a fan of. So I put 3 here because I almost use them for different things and I love all 3 of them. But the first one is the Juvias Place I'm Radiance Booster. I don't think it's like very much, it's not really a skin tint. It's kind of like, if you guys know the luminizing product from Charlotte Tilbury called Hollywood Flawless Filter. It's kind of like that, but it's a little bit thicker, so you get a little bit more coverage. It's very, very light coverage, but it gives you that like glow. I wore it like almost every day over the summer. And then I have the D&G Dolce & Gabbana Blueberry Nutri-Tint, which, surprise, Dolce & Gabbana does beauty. I would say these are ordered from glowiest to least glowy, and so the D&G one is kind of like in that middle, and it has a little bit more coverage. I think it has the most coverage out of all of these, but these are it's still light coverage. And then I would say my number one favorite out of these skin tints was the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint. The reason why I love this is it's not a dewy finish, and it's not a matte finish. It's like a natural finish that just self-sets. It's almost as if like you applied a glowy product and then put setting powder on top of it, but not too much. I would say it's definitely lighter than the Dolce & Gabbana one, so I always use my fingers with it. The only sad thing about this is the shade range isn't the best. I can only wear it in the fall, winter, spring, early days of summer. The moment the tan hits, I have to switch over to the Dolce & Gabbana or Juvia's Place. 2024 was the year of the skin tint, and it was also the year foundation really took a back seat for me. Blushes are something that I think we have enough of, honestly, or at least I do. So I don't think I bought any new blushes, but maybe I bought this blush. I actually don't know if I bought this last year, but I will say I rediscovered it last year as I was going through my makeup and shopping my stash, which is a huge theme for the beauty stack. But I love this blush. It's something that I just didn't have. I feel like I have my go-to pink and like neutral blush shades, but I didn't have any bright red, and I almost feel like it looks even more natural than like a pink blush on me. I wrote here, it gives me that I'm cold look. And the final beauty favorite, blotted matte lipsticks. I've always loved a matte lipstick. I've gone from like a heavier lipstick to something that's a little bit more blurred. So I'm actually wearing the rom&nd Blur Fudge Tint right now. The Korean trend of the blurred lipstick is something that I'm obsessed with, and I think it just allows you to wear kind of the matte lipstick every day without looking like you're putting too much effort. rom&nd did a fantastic job, and I also loved the Bisou Balm from Violette FR, which kind of gives you a similar vibe, but not as fluffy of a product. That's everything that made it to my favorites list of 2024. I'm excited to kind of see what stays a favorite this year, but I'm also really excited to share more on YouTube. I think this is something that I keep coming back to. It's really nice to kind of like look back on some of these memories and look back on how I was viewing certain products or life experiences. So I hope you all are having a great start to your 2025, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Make sure you are subscribed so that you know when I upload again. I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys for watching. Bye.